Inside Banking with NCB. Thank you, Sharon Williams, Manager, Group Service Delivery in Retail Banking Division at NCB, for joining me. Miss Williams, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Emily. Good morning to our listeners.
And how do you do?
I'm excellent this morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well, especially with the last call I just had. A lot of moments, very good moments. So we're talking about NCB branch modernization.
Right.
Yeah? What is that about?
Okay, so this is really changing how it is that we serve our customers, but making sure that they do have channels that are convenient to them and easy to use to actually do their banking. So a number of our branches, 11 so far, have been changed in that the transactions that are done inside the branches are only those transactions that cannot be done at our electronic channels, such as our ABM, our point of sale, online through online banking. And so those branches, when you visit those branches, the discussion will be, if you're there to do a deposit, we will show you how to actually do that cash deposit at the machine. If you're there to do a check deposit, we'll show you how to do that check deposit at the machine. But we'll also ask you to change the conversation that you have with persons who actually pay funds to you. So if persons normally give you checks, we're going to ask you to ask those persons to pay you online. So the whole conversation changes with our customers because we want them to get very comfortable using the electronic channels to do their banking.
Are people becoming more comfortable now with sending their banking details to somebody and say, do a transfer to my account online as opposed to give me a hard copy check?
I think they are based on what we are seeing. So one of the things that we'll say, though, there are certain details when you send to persons, you never send full digits. So your credit card, we will always say, first 4 digits, last 4 digits. If you're sending any information at all to persons regarding your credit cards, we always tell our customers that first 4, last 4. And with our Visa debit cards, we will say the same thing, first 4, last 4. Never send your full 16 digits in terms of those products. But for your accounts, so like your savings account and your checking account, persons will share that information, and that is okay at this point in time.
Why never share the full credit card 16 digits?
So for security reasons and to ensure that you are protected as a customer, because there are various ways in which persons will try to access your account. And so that is one of the things that we say to our customers to protect you. Do not do that. But also there are certain PCI compliance requirements for organizations that states that, in terms of even how we store customers' information, how we store your credit card information. When we look in the system, we will not see your full 16 digits anymore either.
Right, but what's PCI?
Okay, so that is a process by which our financial institutions mainly are governed in terms of how it is that you actually store sensitive customer data. And credit card data is seen as one of the most sensitive data that we actually store for our customers. So we have a responsibility as an organization to ensure that certain guidelines are followed, and checks are done to ensure that we are in compliance. And we have a whole security team at NCB that their role is to ensure that those requirements are being adhered to. And we do training as staff members, mandatory training that you have to go through to ensure that you understand what is required and you are able to comply with that requirement.
Right. So is it that the credit card, the 4 first and last digits, they're sort of a unique combination? So if you don't give out the ones in between, then people can still process a transaction with just knowing those 4?
The thing is, I don't want to get too much into that, Emily, because that's really not my area of expertise. Okay. But we are definitely guided by our IT team, and that is what they have told us, and that is what we tell our customers, that even when they call up via customer care, we don't want you to be giving us the full 16 digits of the card. We ask for the first 4, the last 4, and also your TRN. Sometimes the TRN really helps us to find the customer in the system.
Okay. All right, good. Perhaps another week I'd love to talk some more about that. Yeah. What else you want to tell me about your modernization?
So importantly, we want our customers to know that for the transactions that cannot be done via the electronic channels, they are facilitated in our branches. And so you want to understand what are the limits. So if you're doing a deposit, a cash deposit, you can deposit up to $150,000 at the machine. If you are doing a withdrawal, you can withdraw up to $100,000. And some machines actually allow you to withdraw $100,000 at once. You don't have to do 30, 30, 30, then 10. Because those machines, they have $5,000 bills in them. And so you can do 100,000 just at that same point in time. We also want our customers to know, so for doing online banking and using the mobile app, we are definitely encouraging our customers to download the mobile app from the Play Store for the Android, and it's also available for iOS users to use the mobile app to do your banking. It is just so easy, it is so safe, and it is free to do a number of the transactions that you're doing. Importantly, though, Emily, we want to point out that what we have done is ensure that for our senior citizens and our disabled clients, whatever the transaction they're doing, if they cannot do those transactions via the channels, it will be facilitated in the branch. So right now what we state is that between 8:30 to 9:30, that is for our senior citizens and disabled customers. But we want them to also know that even outside of the 8:30 to 9:30, those groups of customers are prioritized and they are, whatever it is that they're doing. If it is that we're showing them to do it via the channel and they cannot understand for any reason they cannot do it, we have to facilitate them in the branch. So I want them to know that, and they are prioritized right throughout the day.
Okay. So what transactions cannot be done by electronic means?
So you have US dollar transactions for sure. So those cannot be facilitated. So persons lodging a US check, persons wanting to get US cash, you actually cannot do that at the channel. There are certain things such as to pay US embassy fees, those are still facilitated in the branch. If you are doing, so online when you're doing transactions, there are certain limits. So for third-party transfers, so I'm transferring to your account, Emily, or I'm transferring to somebody's account at another bank, my limit for the day right now is $500,000, and my limit for the month is $1 million. That soon will change. Those will be increased shortly, but at the point in time, that's it. So if you're doing anything above those limits and you really need to get this transaction done today, then the branch will facilitate that transaction.
Can I ask you, I had a caller last week, I think East Central, who asked, why is it that banks don't take Canadian dollars for deposits? Can we not open a Canadian? Oh, do you?
We do. As far as I know, and my team NCB, anybody listening, if I'm not saying it, tell me.
Tell us.
As far as I know, we have GBP, we do US, we do Canadian, we do Euro. That's as far as I know. If I said something incorrect, I'll send you information, but we open all those accounts.
Right, and you take Canadian dollars to deposit into that Canadian account so long as they have it,
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right, great. East Central, you hear that? They do take Canadian at NCB, so if you have something else where you might want to rectify that. What else you want to tell me then?
What else would you want to tell Emily about our branches? So just to give you an idea of some of the branches that operate in that way at this point in time. So we have Black River, Brownstone, Hagley Park, Junction, Linstead, Washington Boulevard. Let me say for those branches at this point in time, they were totally cashless at that point in time. But we're making some changes where those branches are concerned.
What do you mean cashless? What does that mean for the customer?
So those transactions that you want to do that include cash, you will be doing those transactions at the electronic channels. But remember, I said earlier that we want to make sure that the senior citizens and the disabled, if there's any challenge, that these branches can still assist them. So we are making those changes. But these were the first set of branches that would have been done. We had done the changes to. And the other set that we did October 1 were Bay West, Christiana, Falmouth, New Kingston, and Portmore. And just to let persons know that for Port Maria branch, come Monday, November 1, the branch has been relocated. It's on the same property, but we just moved it from the front to the back, and so it's a brand new facility. The staff are very excited about it, and customers are excited about it. So November 1, there's a new building our team members will be using, our customers will be using, and so that will also be a part of our whole branch modernization program. So they'll have a soft opening and then an official one in December.
So you have no cash at all those branches that you read out to me? So you're not taking any deposits, you're not having people make any withdrawals, and nothing of the sort that involves money is going to take place inside branch.
So inside the branch, the branches at this point in time, and let me go back to the last 6, the Bay West, Christiana, Falmouth, New Kingston, Portmore, and Port Maria. The first thing will be that once it is that your dollar value transaction can be done at the electronic channels or the transaction can be done online, the branch will not be taking that transaction in branch. But in instances where you cannot be facilitated via the channels, then they will facilitate you in branch.
Okay.
So it is not totally without cash, but definitely the limits are much less. And in terms of the discussion that they'll have with the customers, it will be, I'm showing you how to do this transaction using the channel. So you do not have to come in branch to do it. And it's for your convenience.
And an ATM that the customers are being directed to is right on the outside of the bank.
It's not even on the outside of the bank. It's right in the bank. So all our branches, we have what we refer to as our bank on the go area, and they have each branch has at least 2 machines, but the branches have many more than that. And what we are doing as we are doing changes to our branches, we're making that area even that much bigger, equipped with so many more machines. So customers, you can bank with ease. You really can bank with ease, and you bank at any time because it's 24 hours. So whenever you choose to go to the bank, then you can go to the bank and you can avoid the lines.
So how many workers NCB's lost with this entire process? Because if you don't have people going to as many tellers to do a lot of the transactions people would normally do, they go to ATM, you must be cutting some staff.
All right, so what I would say, Emily, is that I know we would have had to, unfortunately, separate with some team members. I wouldn't say it's a lot of team members, because guess what? As we do these changes, what we have found is that it actually creates other opportunities. So you may not be a teller, but there's actually another unit that needs your skill sets to operating, and so your job is you move away from being a teller into a new position. So we have found that we are creating new jobs for our team members, and that's one of the things that we actually push. That persons understand what is happening in the space and what are some of the new skill sets and the new opportunities that are out there. So if you're not a teller, there's another job for you at NCB. But there will be times, Emily, when it is that we have to separate with a team member. I mean, that's unfortunate, but it does happen at times.
Well, talk to me about fees, because I know banks, into their bottom line, is there a fee that is charged for each transaction that customers are directed to use the ATM for?
All right. At this point in time, Emily, it is free to actually do the transactions at the ABM, but a fee will be implemented. That will come. I don't have an exact time for that. But at this point in time, it is free. But once it is that change will be made in terms of a fee will be charged, our customers will get the required notice, and we're required to give our customers at least 45 days notice, and so that will be done. So they will be made aware if that will change.
So the customers won't have any way to suggest what's a reasonable fee. You notify us, you get us comfortable with using the ABM, and then we can't stop, and you hear it's a high fee for one transaction.
No, and the truth is, Emily, it's not high, and you know what we normally do? We normally allow a certain number of transactions free for the month. So if you are a customer and you know that your first 2 or your first 3 withdrawals are free, we find that customers tend to ensure that, when they have to do their business, you're keeping with that timeline, so you can actually avoid the fee. So even when we implement a fee, you can avoid the fee, because you always get certain number of transactions free. I can't say what that is right now, but at least it will be at least 2 that you can get free using the ABM.
Watching it all. Gotta go. But I want to ask you quickly. I had a lady who, I saw her at a place a couple of days ago, and she spoke to me after. She said she did intend to call me on the hotline, but she saw me there, so she told me what the issue was. She made a deposit using one of the in-branch ABMs. She made a deposit to a particular account, intending the deposit to go to another account, but the account numbers are relatively close. And she deposited the money to the wrong account. So the intended recipient didn't receive it, and the unintended recipient, the money went to the account, but clearly she has no communication with that other person.
Right.
Is there any way that she can get the money back in her account so she can send it to the person she intended to have it?
All right, so what is so important, Emily, and I don't know if you have contact details for her, but we need to know that account number. We can't go ahead and debit a customer's account without the customer's permission. So even though she did it in error, if it went to a valid account, we would need permission from that customer. But we could place a hold on the funds for her until it is that we're able to actually make contact with the customer, explain what happened, and get their permission to debit their account and place the funds in her account.
Yeah.
So we could definitely help. If you have any details, you could send that to us and we could reach out.
I'm going to do that. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sharon Williams. Thank you. Talk again next week, God willing.